but not in the flesh, as the angel of the Most High, the first creation of the Most High. Okay? So now, let's continue. So, verse 4 again of Acts the 2nd chapter. And they were all filled with the Holy Spirit and began to speak with other tongues, which is other languages, as the Spirit gave them utterance. So the Spirit is telling them, going into them, and having them speak different languages. But it's very important because a lot of the churches use these scriptures to say you got to be filled with the Holy Spirit and speaking other tongues. And you're still a Gentile? But listen who was here for this holy convocation of the Feast of Pentecost. Verse 5. And they were dwelling at Jerusalem, Jews, Israelites, devout men out of every nation under heaven. Right? This who was here. Devout men that are Israelites out of every nation under heaven. See? Where were they from? Verse 9. Parthians, Israelites. These are Israelites. Parthians and Medes. That's why I look at verse 8. And how hear we every man in our own tongue, our own language, wherein we were born. They were born in all these different lands. And being born in all different lands, like we born here in America, we speak what? English, Spanish, because that's mainly who conquered in this Western Hemisphere. The language that they spoke. Spanish and English. The Haitians speak French. They got a French dialect, you see. Down there in Central America, Brazil and so forth, speaking Portuguese, because the Portuguese Edomites conquered them, you see, in those lands. They were in those lands. They're speaking the different languages that people spoke in the lands that they were brought to and made to speak. But look, verse 8. And how here we, every man in our own language, our own tongue, which is our own language, wherein we were born. See, Parthians and Medes and Elamites and the dwellers of Mesopotamia, these are all Israelites from all these different lands. And the Holy Spirit gave the apostles the ability to speak the languages of the lands that they were in. Parthians and Medes and Elamites and dwellers in Mesopotamia and in Judea and Cappadocia and Pontus and Asia, Phrygia and Pamphylia in Egypt and in parts of Libya from Cyrene, and strangers of Rome, Jews and proselytes, Cretes and Arabians. We do hear them speak in our tongues, our languages, the wonderful works of the Most High. See? So, this is the day of Pentecost. Look at Acts 20 and 16. Acts 20 and 16. For Paul had determined to sail by Ephesus, which the Israelites that were there is called Ephesians. And I can prove all this. Anybody that says they're not Israelites, I can prove that he's talking to the Israelites that lived in Ephesus, the land of Ephesus, because he would not spend the time in Asia. Remember, we just read, we're in Asia. For he hasted, he was in a hurry, if it were possible for him to be at Jerusalem the day of Pentecost. See? He was going to Jerusalem for the day of Pentecost. He observed it. 1 Corinthians 16 and 8. It says, but I will tarry at Ephesus until Pentecost. See? I'm But Terry goes, he gonna hang out at Ephesus, the land of Ephesus, with the Ephesians that are Israelites until Pentecost. See? There it is. We're observing these days. So look at Exodus, the 23rd chapter, because all males were obligated to observe this feast. Exodus 23 and 17. It says, let's see. Now let's go to verse 16. Exodus 23:16 first. And the feast of harvest, the first fruits of thy labors, which thou hast sown in the field, and the feast of ingathering, which is in the end of the year, when we harvest our crops. And so when thou hast gathered in thy labors out of the field, 3 times in a year, all the males supposed to appear, shall appear before the Most High thy power. See? So now, go to Exodus 34 and 23. Just showing you that all the males and women attended too. We're going to go through that too. Exodus 34 and 23. Thrice in the year shall all your men, children, appear before the Most High power, the power of Israel. See? 3 times in a year. Verse 22, it says, and thou shalt observe the feast of weeks, of the first fruits of wheat harvest, and the feast of ingathering at the year's end. See? That's what we observe. Psalms 42, Psalms the 42nd chapter, and verse 4. When I remember these things, I pour out my soul in me. For I had gone with the multitude. I went with them to the house of the Most High with a voice of joy and praise, with a multitude that kept holy days. See? Kept the holy days. Psalms 122 and 4. Psalms 122 and 4. Whither the tribes go up, the tribes of the Most High, which is the 12 tribes of Israel, unto the testimony of Israel, to give thanks unto the name of the Most High, as we have read over and over again. His name is in our name. Ezekiel 36 and 38. Ezekiel 36, verse 38. As the holy flock, as the flock of Jerusalem in her solemn feast, so shall the waste cities be filled with flocks of men. And they shall know that I am the Most High. See? Amen. Luke 2:41. Luke 2 and 41. Luke 2:41. Now his parents went to Jerusalem every year at the feast of the Passover. There's the feast. Mashiach's parents, Joseph and Mary, went to the feast of the Passover every year. And when, at the exact time, he was 12 years old, that's his birthday, they went up to Jerusalem after the custom of the feast. See? And when, that means at that precise time that he turned 12 years old. That's who was, if you read it on, it tells you how he was dealing with the doctors and lawyers. They have it in this Bible here, but it's off. It's off because it has them as an Edomite when he's not. They show him he's 12 years old. They know about it. They know the story. See how they have a Edomite, but you see there he's 12 years old. He's dealing with doctors and lawyers. That's not him. That's a lie. He was very, very dark-skinned man and boy. So let's look at St. John, the 4th chapter. So I have a lot of different scriptures that I'll continue on tomorrow, and we see the Mashiach Shai observed them also. St. John 4 and 45. Then when he was coming to Galilee, the Galileans received him, having seen all the things that he did at Jerusalem at the feast. For they also went up unto the feast. They went unto the feast, see? We're observing these days. Feast days. Look at just another one of Mashiach Shai in John 7th chapter. After these things, Mashiach Shai walked in Galilee, because and where are we at? We in the Roman Empire. After these things, Mashiach Shai walked in Galilee, for he would not walk in Jerusalem, which is Jerusalem, because the Jews sought to kill him. His own people sought to kill him. Now the Jews' feast of tabernacle was at hand. See? And his brethren therefore said unto him, Depart thence, and go into Judea, that thy disciples also may see and the works that thou doest. There is no man that doeth anything in secret, and he himself seeketh to be known openly. If thou do these things, show thyself to the world. But neither did his brethren believe in him, right? But you understand, they tell him to, go show off, and show everybody what you can do, what you rolling with, how you rolling in the spirit, the things you can do. But when you understand who Mashiach Shai was and how, if we're gonna be like him, this is how he rolled. Go to Philippians. They say go and show everybody what you can do, right? This Philippians. Remember, he would heal people and say, don't tell nobody. Philippians the 2nd chapter. He said, in verse 5, it says, let this mind be in you, which was also in Mashiach Shai, who being in the form of the Most High, thought it not robbery to be equal with the Most High. I mean, he was the son of the Most High, but made himself of no reputation. They try to make him, have this great reputation. He said he made himself of no reputation, and took upon him the form of a servant, and was made in the likeness of men. And being found in fashion as a man, he humbled himself, which is opposite of being prideful. He humbled himself and became obedient unto death, even the death of the cross, the affliction that he had to go through in life for us, wretched us. So I'm going to go into how the women went to the feast also. Go to 1 Samuel's, the 1st chapter. First Samuel, the 1st chapter. Bear with me. And showing that women attended to. 1 Samuel, the 1st chapter. And 3rd verse. And this man went up out of his city yearly to worship and the sacrifice unto the Most High of hosts in Shiloh. And the two sons of Eli, Hophni, and Phinehas, the priest of the Most High, were there. And when the time was that Elkanah offered, he gave to Peninnah his wife, and to all her sons and her daughters portions. See? So, jump to verse 9. So Hannah rose up after they had eaten in Shiloh, and after they had drunk. Now Eli the priest sat upon a seat by a post of the temple of the Most High. See? She was right there. Women was there. Go to, like we just went over, go to Luke 2 and 41 again. Now his parents, this is Mashiach's parents, Joseph and Mary, parents went to Jerusalem every year at the feast of the Passover. So women was there too. So we're going to continue this. If you have any questions, let me know. And with that, I'm out. Shalom. Have a happy feast.